Hello and welcome to the Healing Insight podcast, episode 13, with me, Sarah Hunt.
And me, Jez Hunt.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. And today we'll be looking at visualization. Excuse me, I seem to have acquired a frog in my throat today.
That's right.
Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here again. I can't believe we have already come round to episode 13. Goodness me.
It's a quarter of a year, almost.
Gosh, yes, it is. Wow.
There you go.
I hadn't thought of it like that. That just puts it into perspective. That's time whizzing by, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And I like the way you opened it with a nice visualization of a frog in your throat.
Yes. Oh dear. Yeah, visualization. I think it's an interesting topic and it's a useful one. Visualization can really help people moving forward, especially when you want to manifest something into your life. And we all do it, but we don't realize that we do it half the time, I do feel. And you know, when we're daydreaming, we're visualizing without realizing we're visualizing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's any time that we're not necessarily not necessarily conscious in the moment, as in the now, but actually you can visualize in the now because we do it with intention. But yes, being daydreaming or that sort of thing, when you're drifting off anything that you're cogitating on, is that the right word? Cogitating?
That's a good word. I haven't heard that one for a long time.
I haven't used it ever, I don't think, in a podcast or anything. But when we're mulling over something, when we're and we sort of drift off into that, then that is a form of visualization for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
I think, just again for clarity, I think certainly from my perspective, when I talk about visualization or with clients, it's not necessarily just about visualizing something with your sight or picturing something in the terms of what we regard as sight. It can be a sense of feeling. It can be other senses involved as well. I have there's a client of mine who he can't see things. So if you ask him to visualize his future or so visualize something in the future, then he can't just picture it. He has to talk it through. So he's actually audibly visualizing it. So by talking it out loud, that then for him creates that picture. I mean, I don't mean things like, the classic jokes used to be of visualize something. Okay, visualize an elephant in a pink tutu. Most people can do that, but not everyone can. When we use the term, or I use the term visualization, I don't necessarily mean just limited to the sense of sight. Or
no, I'm the same, and certainly for me, I actually find it quite difficult to. It's not my strongest sense to actually visualize with a sense of sight. I visualize through feeling things, so yes. I get a feel of, and I can build a picture from feeling, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And it's different for everybody. I think it's depending on how developed your skills are, how in tune you are with yourself as well. So and it depends on the situation that you're in as well. So you might consciously visualize something because you want to create it, and you could do that in different ways. So by actually bringing that actual picture like a photograph in front of you, or by feeling it and allowing it to build up in front of you, feeling it, or like you're your client does by talking it through. Or you could be in a situation where you're daydreaming and you're just getting flashes of things. And in fact, when we're lucid dreaming as well, that is a form of visualization, because people get pictures or understanding or information um, about various different things.
Yes.
And dreaming is usually a time when information's either being processed or being given to us.
Sure. I think it's probably one of the questions that listeners may be listening, maybe asking, because obviously they're listening, they wouldn't be listening to ask, asking is, okay, so what's the point of visualization from an intentional point of view?
Well, I think there can be many different points. Um,
I agree, as it happens. I'm just.
that's good. It depends what your intention is. So, for example, if I'm doing a guided meditation with people, then I ask them to visualize a bubble of pure love and pure light around their energy to protect them. And then I will get them to visualize different things as they go. So it might be a walk along a country path and the sun shining. And so I'll put that idea out to them and allow them to see it in the way that they see it. So they might see the sun shining and see the path in front of them, and see the trees and smell the blossoms, or they might get a sense of it being there, or just feel it being there, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But equally, you can do visualizations for manifesting something. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was talking to me about how she manifested her partner, and she had a list of what was important for her. But she said she used to take the dog out for a walk and imagine that her partner was walking with her and holding her hand, and she was talking to him. She said people probably would have thought I was nuts, but she said it helped me to manifest my partner and the type of person that I wanted to be with for the rest of my life. So you can use it for different things. So you can also use visualization for visualizing a new job, or for visualizing a new house, or just for visualizing being happy. But I've also used it myself in just to look at my whole energy system and visualize it all calming down and being full of pure love and pure light, and to take me into a more relaxed state when I've perhaps been a bit stressed. So there's many different ways that you can use visualization. I'm sure you can think of other ways, Joe.
Yeah. I think something that's worth mentioning as well is just from a physical level. Our unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality, in air quotes, because our reality is our reality, not necessarily anyone else's, but reality and imagined anyway. The unconscious mind just accepts things as are. So by using visualization, it's not tricking your brain into anything, but by using visualization, so you talk about manifesting, using visualization to manifest, it's your unconscious mind accepts that as is, whether it's something that you're imagining in the future that hasn't yet happened, or whether it's a memory, then your unconscious mind accepts it as is, and that's what you want to achieve. So it will then help you to achieve that.
Yeah.
So the point in all the things that you said, so just visualizing yourself calming down, your unconscious mind is not then saying, but you're not calm, you're stressed. You're not really. It doesn't question it. If you visualize that you are calming down, that your heart rate's slowing down, that your breathing's getting more steady, if you're in some sort of stressed state or panic state or anxious state, just by visualizing it, your unconscious mind believes that's what you are and what you want to do, but where you are. So your heart rate, your blood pressure, your whatever will come down.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
yeah. So
And you know, you can use it for different health problems. I think it's David Hamilton, Dr. David Hamilton, that talks a lot about using visualization to help with different disease issues. And you get, I think I'm correct in that he kind of gets them to visualize something that goes along and gobbles at an area of inflammation or whatever it happens to be, or a lump or whatever, to actually visualize that happening so that it reduces the area of inflammation or the area where there's some kind of lump, to help with the healing process. So it can be used in many different ways, and it is a very powerful way of changing things.
yeah, and you are correct. It is Dr. David Hamilton. For those that are listening, I have used that very meditation or visualization with a friend of mine and with a few other clients as well. So yes, it's about seeing the whatever that you're dealing with represented in some way that you can then see either shrinking, reducing, being eaten by your antibodies, or there's lots of ways that you can interpret what the guided part of what he's saying. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
so it does. It's just another technique, really, isn't it, that you can have in your tool bag of life. Um, we have healing tool bags, but for this, it's a tool bag of life. It's just giving you skills that you can use to help you to change things, to actually be able to become more focused on what it is you want. And it's really important for us all to to be doing what we want, to be doing what makes us happy, what makes our heart really sing. And when we are doing those things, and when we can visualize what it is, when we're connected to what it is that we really truly want and what our soul wants, then we can then manifest it in a much easier way. And using visualization just adds strength to that ability for us, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. And the beauty of it is, other than the fact you know practice, the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. But other than that, you don't need anything else. It is just practicing, just doing something, and you can take it with you. It doesn't matter where you are. You know, it's not like you've got to take a book or a bag or anything with you, or you literally can just stop in the moment and visualize.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a really
Um,
important and completely diverse usages of it in terms of what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. There's no limits to the way that you can use it, really, is there? It's just about bringing a lot of positivity into what you're trying to create within your life, because you know everything that we do, everything we say, has a bearing on how our life is and what we create within our life. So the more that we can do that brings in positive energies, that brings in um, positive visualizations, then that will shift things and change things and move them forward for you.
Yeah, look at sports people, when they're doing their preparation and their training and everything, where they're visualizing. So if it's an athlete or something doing a run, they're visualizing themselves running and jumping over every hurdle perfectly and counting the steps and crossing the line in the fastest time, where everything, and they go over it again and again. Tennis players, they visualize every shot, they visualize it when they're going through their practice, and that's part of it. It's the mental side of it as much as it is the physical side of it in terms of winning. David Hamilton also did one of his things. I can't remember which book it was in. It might be I Heart Me, where he talks about a pianist. They did studies because for those that are listening, if you don't know of him, he's come from a scientific background, so he's very much about proving things with science, but he's also completely open to spirituality and looking at things from the other side as well. So, but they did this thing. They did what's the word I'm looking for? A test, experiment, whatever, where they were checking muscle development in hands of pianists. And
Right.
they got someone, I can't remember exact timescales, but for the sake of the story, it's something like a 3 month, 6 month period where they measured people who were actually using the piano and practicing on the piano. And they had another set of people who didn't have a piano, but they visualized playing on the piano. And at the end of it, the development in the hands of both the actual pianists and the ones that visualized it, there was perceivably no difference between the two.
Mm.
There was improved muscle. It wasn't like nothing happened. There was improved muscle strength and changes in both sets.
Yeah.
So it's not just about doing it. If you can visualize it, that also has a physical impact on you as well, not just necessarily a. And there've been multiple studies. That's the word I was looking for. Studies done like that. So yes, it's
Yeah, it's
fascinating stuff.
interesting, isn't it? But this comes back to the fact that we are energy, and energy isn't destroyed; it's changed, and visualization can help to change energy um, within our bodies for us, if that's what we want.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think another something that lots of people have used successfully, things like vision boards.
Yes.
So whilst it's not visualization in your head, so it's not like you're just sitting there and you've got a physical stimulus to look at. So you've got your board that you've put together, but just having that focus point. Yeah, it's like having a guided meditation over an open meditation, I guess, in that you've got something to guide you with your vision board of what you're trying to achieve. So if you're looking for a new house, of all those different things, not different attributes of what you want in your house rather than necessarily the house you want, although
Yeah.
why not? If you've got an ideal house you want to go for, you can visualize that for sure. But just having that guide to, or that prompt to look at and just imagine you living in that house, walking in that garden, sitting in that sitting room with the sun coming through the windows, that's all stuff that's going to help you. So vision boards, if you're struggling with trying to do this off the top of your head, then you can use a vision board or a something equivalent, whatever you're looking at creating in your life or changing in your life, um, as much as sitting down and just trying to imagine it off the top of your head, so to speak.
Absolutely. And sometimes I think yeah, I've certainly used vision boards, and I've found that helpful. But also, you know, visualization can be done by just writing a list of what it is that you
Mm-hmm.
want. So when I manifested this house that I'm in now, my son sat down with me, and the two of us wrote a list of what was important for us so that we could visualize it. And we had it up in the kitchen, and we had it up a couple of the places in the old house. And both of us would look at that list each day and just imagine
Mm-hmm.
the house with all the things that were important to us. So it was light and bright. Um, it had 3 bedrooms. There were different things that had a garden, but it was situated easy for him to get to college, me to get to work. So there were things that were important, but it was a way of helping us both, because we're not majorly visual to as in seeing pictures like photographs, um, to help us to actually be able to visualize the house that we wanted, and it helped us to manifest something in a very short period of time. Within 2 weeks, we found the house that was right. So,
Mm-hmm. That's
um,
awesome.
so 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 when we're talking about visualization, it's not necessarily about having a picture, or being able to see a picture that looks like a photograph somewhere.
Yeah.
It's building up that picture in different ways. So like I just said, using a list, if that's what works for you and helps to trigger things for you to create the ideal of what you really want.
Yeah. I think it is important that we use all of our senses. We engage as much of our senses as possible in when we're visualizing. So yes, it might be a list that's your prompt, or a list of things that starts that process. But if you can feel your, like you're saying about your people feeling the sense of a forest around them when they're walking in a guided meditation, if you can smell the blossoms or hear the birds sing or taste the
Salt from the sea.
salt from the sea, or I was trying to think of one that would
We're in
work.
the woods and got the sea, but
Well, the woods could be by the sea. um, but if you can engage all of your senses, it makes it more real for your unconscious mind, and the
yes,
more real you can make it, the easier it is for your unconscious mind to then help you to manifest it and achieve it.
yeah.
Whatever it is. I mean, it can be, and that's for anything that you're trying to do. It's not just manifestation as such. But so yeah, I mean, anything that you can do to engage it. So if you're writing, I mean, I've had people write. It's almost like writing a scene in a book,
Yeah.
where they've gone into the real detail of what the grass was doing, and there are patches on the lawn that aren't quite. They went into real detail in their own mind, and that actually helped them manifest what they were looking for.
I think, yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, that they've done it like that? Because really, if you pick up a good novel and you read words of that, that will trigger visualizations in you. So you will, from the description the author's given of the characters involved, you'll get a visualization of what that is in some on some level,
Yeah,
won't
yeah, yeah.
you?
And
And yeah,
sorry,
go on, sorry.
I was going to say, and actually, there's a distinction here, because if you look at, and it just popped into my head, if you look at books, so let's take for example the Harry Potter books, the Harry Potter films books. I read the books before I saw the films.
Me too.
Well, not most people, a lot of people did. I had my own vision of what Dumbledore and Harry and that looked like. So yes, it was triggered or built on the description that the author gave us, but I had my own. When you watch a film of a book, you're seeing or you're seeing someone else's interpretation of what that person looks like, or what that scene is like, or what
Mm-hmm.
happens in that. Because a film is more restrictive in terms of us, the viewer, although in some ways it's easier, because then we don't have to try and visualize anything because it's there in front of us. But actually, in some ways, it takes away that freedom of Harry Potter being whoever I want him to be within the confines of the story that's being told. In
Yeah,
fact,
absolutely.
outside the confines of what's being told, because it's all in my head. It doesn't matter. I could have my own stories of Harry Potter going on in my head, not just the ones that are put down before me by the author. Does that?
Yeah,
Am I
absolutely.
making sense
And
there?
I think as well, another way that we do visualization, and we could encourage it with children, is when we're sitting telling them stories, but not with a storybook. I don't know if you've ever done it with your son, but I certainly did it with my children. They used to like it when I made up my own stories for them, and they then had their own picture from what I was telling them about about the story that I was telling them about, and that's a really good way of developing a child's ability to visualize, and some people would call it imagination, wouldn't they? But
Yeah,
it kind of they go hand in hand. But it's just getting the creativity within you going, really, because when you're visualizing, you're being very creative.
yeah, and we all do it as children. We all visualize stuff and imagine stuff, but we're actively engaged in it pretty much in every sense,
But
and we
I think
lose
we
that as
are
we get
as
older.
adults. I think we are as adults as well. We just don't realise we are, and it's easy for adults to kind of always see the worst of everything. And if you are consciously visualizing, then it can help to shift you into a more positive way of looking at things.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Because if we're always focused on the negative, then that's what we'll draw in, and we want to be drawing in positive experiences. So using visualization to shift your mindset is a good way of changing things and getting the subconscious to look at things from a different point of view.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're focused on, if you're visualizing in air quotes negativity all around you, then that is what you will attract. That is will
Mm,
what will your life will be.
absolutely.
So yeah,
And sometimes it needs visualizations to actually help to shift that mindset to help you to change things.
yeah, cool.
Excellent. Well, hopefully that's given our listeners some thoughts about visualization and ways they can use it. Do have a go, and do feel free to let us know if you have some successes with visualization and drawing in things or making changes that you want in your life.
Yeah, and just start with something simple. It doesn't have to be a really complicated thing to begin with.
Absolutely.
So yeah, give it a go and let us know. Excellent.
Super. So thank you once again, Jay, for your time,
And you.
and see you next time. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.